It's A QUITTER'S PARADISE, and it's a magnificent book. Its hugely gifted writer is Elysha Chang, and I'm thrilled to help shepherd this book. I am so crazy about this book. It is such a sophisticated, complicated triumph because this story is so extraordinary. I'm just wondering if you can just share with your readers how it was birthed. Where did it come from?
I started writing this story or some version of this story in my 20s. I was living and working in New York, and I just felt like I had so many questions about really, the classic coming of age questions, how to live, what to look for, what my purpose is. And at the time, it was just writing anything. It was writing, for a while I was just journaling, obviously. And then I started writing in this voice that felt really pleasurable and fun to write in, and also very elusive a little bit. Like I had to work really hard to understand what that voice was and what she was thinking about. And it felt really kind of like a puzzle that really energized me and that really made me want to keep working toward it and finding out more about who the character that eventually became Eleanor.
Eleanor's relationship with grief is so interesting to follow. I think her grief is so poetically examined, and I'm just interested in sort of your own interest in grief and how you decided what was Eleanor's grief or what wasn't it? How could she understand it?
Yeah, I think we're meeting Eleanor at a point in her life when she's really coming to terms with a lot of stuff that she's been meticulously avoiding thinking about. Everything, her family, her marriage, her extramarital relationship, her career, right? She's really coming to a head here. And I think the loss of her mother kind of really stops that avoidance from being possible at all. Loss is a confrontation, a new way of being without someone or something. And for a person who's very non-confrontational, there's some sense that this loss really hounds her in an unusual way. Eleanor is someone who's really not yet equipped to answer something like that. And that's why we sort of see her acting in ways that we don't understand and that she certainly doesn't understand. We do talk about all the ways we can grieve. And I think I was really interested in someone who was just really ill prepared for that. What do they think about and how do they still work through that loss, right? You still have to do it. It's not like it goes away just because you feel unable to kind of handle it.
You keep doing this in the book, which I think is, once again, so interesting and exciting, to leave Eleanor for a significant amount of time and tell us about other people. And you keep letting us meet people that are so interesting and that have so much to say about this American experience. How did you know when to leave Eleanor? And how did you know for us, how much time can I spend away from her?
Eleanor really stopped, as I was writing her, really stopped offering more information. But it was sort of impossible to get to know her with the depth that I wanted without introducing her family. Spending time away from Eleanor in other spaces, in other time periods, among other people, still enriches what we know about her and what I think maybe she wished she also knew, or maybe she does know, right? We can't be sure. That's the thing about these alternating narratives is we don't know whether she knows this information, whether she's been told, whether she's inventing this information so that she can kind of formulate a narrative for herself or make meaning for herself. And, I think the reverse is the same too, that knowing what she's like today changes and enriches what we understand of Jing and Rita, of the people who were kind of moving toward this goal, whatever that goal was or whatever that eventually became. I think that's a very common but also charged space, that space between the immigrant parent and the non-immigrant child, that I kind of wanted to explore.
You've offered up these lives and they've come to mean something to me, and then you leave them alone and you've left them where they are in their life. But what happens to you as a writer? Do they cross your, this is just a curiosity, because if you've given us so many details about people, and even if they've made a decision that concerns us or we don't feel we'll know more about, we wonder. Good writing makes us take characters with us, keep them, think about them. What does a good writer do with a book full of really interesting characters when you know you won't revisit them? Where does that leave you?
That's such a good question. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, because I'm leaving the world of the book behind. It's tucked in the pages now, and I've spent so much time, pursuing the characters, thinking about them, coaxing information out of them, writing them and thinking that's not what they would do. I need to delete and write again. And I do feel like they're still alive out there, living their life, and I don't know what that life looks like anymore. I think I approached the characters feeling like there was so much more to them that I would never know. And so I just kind of was gathering what I could. And I do think about them now and wonder what they're doing.
Do you think Eleanor's okay?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think she's okay. But it's hard for me to understand, she swerves so much. I think it's really hard for me to know what she would decide to do next. And I don't know, maybe that's why I ended the book there. I think really it was at a point where it was just impossible to know more.
I'm so grateful you have given us at Zando and SJP Lit the opportunity to introduce this book. It's a real gift to readers, so thank you.